The following is a reconstruction based on declassified forensic archives for educational purposes only. Do not attempt to replicate any methods shown. This record is as follows.
In 1968, northwest of Hawaii, a Soviet vessel was descending rapidly toward the bottom of the Pacific. 5,000 metric tons of steel, the K129, carrying 3 nuclear ballistic missiles. When she reaches the abyssal plain 4.8 kilometers down, she becomes a ghost. The Kremlin has no idea where their assets are. According to CIA records, the agency's acoustic sensors, including the SO-SUS system and Air Force acoustic arrays, detected the approximate location of the hull's collapse. The archival record shows the agency didn't just find the remains. After a pinpoint search by the USS Halibut, they found a potential gold mine, cryptographic gear, nuclear secrets, the ultimate prize. But here's the high-stakes reality. As documented in historical intelligence studies, the CIA decided to retrieve the entire submarine from under the noses of the Soviet Navy. It was a notably expensive, audacious maritime heist. They called it Project Azorian. But how do you lift a sunken sub from the crushing depths without the world noticing? There's one thing the CIA never told you about their multi-billion-dollar gamble, a detail so remarkable it sounds like a fever dream, until now.
To pull this off, the agency needed a legend so massive no one would dare question it. According to declassified operational memos, they turned to the only man eccentric enough to provide it, Howard Hughes. Publicly released dossiers show the CIA tapped Global Marine Inc. to build a behemoth, the Hughes Glomar Explorer. The cover story? Hughes was going to mine manganese nodules from the sea floor. It was a brilliant false flag. While the press was busy obsessed with the billionaire's latest whim, records indicate engineers at Lockheed's California facilities were finishing Clementine. That was the nickname for a massive 4,870-meter mechanical claw designed to grab the K129 with a high-strength steel grip. But here's the question the agency couldn't answer. What happens if the Soviets show up to watch the mining operation?
July 1974. The Glomar Explorer is on station, and things just got hot. A Soviet tug, the Charish, is circling the area. They're suspicious. Declassified sit-reps show the tension was significant. If the Soviets boarded, the burn notice was ready, meaning everything sensitive gets destroyed. This was tradecraft on a tectonic scale. According to eyewitness accounts in the archives, Soviet crews actually flew a helicopter over the deck, snapping photos of the miners. On board, mission logs state CIA officers disguised as sailors waved back like tourists, praying the Russians didn't notice the heavy lift gear. The Kremlin was watching, but as historical analysis suggests, they couldn't conceive of a heist this audacious. They thought the Americans were just obsessed with rocks. They had no idea the agency was seconds away from snatching a nuclear crown jewel.
The Charish finally clears the area, but the window of opportunity is narrowing. The claw begins its long, lonely descent into the dark. As it hits the seabed, cameras flicker to life, revealing the mangled ribs of the K129. This was it. 6 years of planning and over $5 billion in today's money were on the line. The claw opened its steel fingers. Official mission logs suggest a palpable silence at HQ. Contact. But as the steel mechanism secured the Soviet hull, a striking sound echoed through the Glomar. The operation was failing. As they winched the 1,580-ton section upward, a massive shudder rocked the vessel. According to technical reports, several of the claw's fingers just snapped. 2/3 of the submarine, including the missile tubes and the code room, broke off and tumbled back into the abyss. According to some internal assessments, the heart of the prize was gone. Now the CIA faced a difficult choice: abort the mission or bring up the remaining sections.
What reached the surface was a radioactive mess. Declassified memos describe a somber atmosphere, what some official accounts characterize as a substantial failure. But inside that twisted steel, the CIA found something they hadn't planned for: the remains of 6 Soviet crew members. Suddenly, this wasn't just a tech recovery, it was a graveyard. In a rare moment of humanity amidst the Cold War machinery, as documented in naval records, the agency gave these men a full military burial at sea. They were draped in the Soviet flag, with a chaplain performing the service in both English and Russian. But don't let the sentiment fool you. According to intelligence historians, the handlers back at Langley were already pivoting. They wanted the rest of that sub, and they were already planning a second drop. But 4.8 kilometers above the seabed, the whole operation was about to collapse.
Rewind to June 1974. While the Glomar was at sea, a bizarre burglary back in LA was about to sink the whole project. As reported in subsequent criminal investigations, a group of low-level thieves broke into Howard Hughes's headquarters on Romaine Street. They didn't just take small change. It was later alleged they walked off with documents linking Hughes to the CIA. The agency went into a full-blown panic. If those papers hit the press, the mining cover story would evaporate instantly. This was the ultimate nightmare, a street-level crime compromising a multi-million-dollar black op. According to declassified fallout reports, the CIA scrambled to contain the leak, but the cat was out of the bag. A local reporter began sniffing around, and the agency realized their window for a quiet second mission was slamming shut. The Glomar name was about to become a household word for all the wrong reasons.
March 18, 1975. The legend finally died. The Los Angeles Times dropped the news. CIA salvage ship brought up portion of Soviet sub. The secret was out. The Kremlin was humiliated. They'd been told their vessel was lost, and now they knew the Americans had been digging in their backyard. When journalists started filing FOIA requests, the CIA hit back with a legal masterpiece. They didn't say yes, and they didn't say no. They said, "We can neither confirm nor deny." This became known as the Glomar response. In the annals of legal history, it was a bureaucratic smokescreen designed to protect the agency's methods while acknowledging absolutely nothing. But the question remains, was the heist actually worth it?
For years, the official line was that the mission was a bust, but declassified internal memos tell a different story. The agency recovered 2 nuclear-tipped torpedoes, providing what analysts call a masterclass in Soviet metallurgy and sonar shielding. They learned exactly how Soviet torpedoes talked to their vessels. Fast forward to 1992, news reports confirm CIA Director Robert Gates travels to Moscow and hands over the film of the burial to Boris Yeltsin. It was a peace offering from a heist that had once nearly triggered a naval standoff. Project Azorian was a failure of physics, but an unprecedented engineering feat. It proved that no depth on the globe was out of reach for modern recovery. But as the 70s bled into the 80s, the battleground shifted from the ocean floor to the digital frontier. By 1982, the agency was no longer looking for sunken subs. They were looking to compromise the very infrastructure of the USSR. They found their opening in a massive trans-Siberian gas pipeline. The Soviets needed software they couldn't build, so they tried to acquire it from the Americans. Langley was one step ahead. They didn't stop the acquisition, they rigged the product. It was the birth of a new kind of tradecraft.
According to the controversial account in the Farewell dossier, this led to a substantial pipeline incident, a logic trigger that caused a detonation. Legend has it the blast was so massive it was detectable from orbit, though other archival records remain skeptical of the event's severity. If you thought the submarine heist was compelling, wait until you hear about the Farewell dossier, the CIA's first cyber war. That story, still largely hidden in the shadows, until now.